we decided, that we love to take these trips and challenge ourselves through kind of almost like survival type situations where we would surprise each other with either a canoe trip that wasn't like your standard, go to a library and pick out canoes. You just like all of a sudden show up on a piece of the river and then have to live for 2 days going down the river. Nice. So we had a blast. We would do those kind of things, camping trips, things like that. And then we got to thinking about it. We said, maybe we could actually have other people do this and we could stand back and even have more fun watching them do it. Right?
Welcome to The Gut Check, Nutrition and Gut Health for Active People, a podcast where we are talking functional nutrition for functional fitness and a functional you. Remember, if your gut is not functioning optimally, you are not functioning optimally. I am your host, registered dietitian and nutritionist, and OCR fan, Kate Klein. You can connect with me on Facebook at The Dublin Dietitian, or go to my website for additional resources, services, and the video recorded versions of these episodes at www.dublindietitian.com. That's DUBLINDIETITIAN. As a standard disclaimer, the information provided here is for educational purposes only. While I strive to provide accurate and helpful information to my listeners and viewers, I cannot take into account individualized circumstances. This is not a substitute for personalized nutrition, health, and medical advice from a health professional. If you are ready to get your personalized plan, you can go to dublindietitian.com and schedule a complimentary strategy session to get a game plan in place for you to hit your health and fitness goals. So let's get to it. Who are my obstacle course racers and runners out there? Welcome back to the Gut Check team. I'm excited for this episode. It's kind of a different one this time. It's almost like a race spotlight. So I am thrilled to get to interview Jake Moore in today's episode. He's one of the creators of the X OCR obstacle course race, or the X Trilogy weekend, which we'll talk about what that is in this episode. But of all the different OCRs I've run, this one and Indian Mud Run are kind of the two that are near and dear to my heart, not only because they are only here in Ohio, so shout out to the Buckeyes, but because they also have some really good causes that they stand behind. So I was really pleased and really excited to have Jake come on today and talk about the origins, not only of the X Trilogy and the land and kind of the various events they do beyond just the obstacle course race, but also their partnership with Operation Enduring Warrior and what that meant, and kind of the whole military support and the veteran support that X stands for, as does Operation Enduring Warrior. So for anyone who likes OCRs or who did this one or is thinking about doing this one, I am excited to have you listen. I hope you'll enjoy it. He's sharing the history, the origins, the partnerships, some sneak peeks, some behind the scenes look at it, and also talking about sort of the mindset and the mental grit that goes into planning. But don't let that scare you away. It's a very intimidating sounding race at times, but truly with any obstacle course race, you can always modify things. There's a lot you can do. So I hope you will listen to this, consider joining, try it out. Jake is extending a discount to everybody who's listening. So check out the show notes. There's a sign up link and the discount code if you want to get 10% off. Usually with OCRs, the sooner you join, the cheaper the price is. So check that out. Enjoy the show. Reach out to Jake if you have questions, and let me know if you're going to be there. I am signed up to be there this year and would love to meet up with listeners. So you guys have a wonderful day. Enjoy the show. Let's get to it. Today, I have Jake Moore here. He's one of the founding members of the X OCR, which I'm excited to talk about. He's a former Marine and Army helicopter pilot, And now he's an EMS pilot out of Cleveland, Ohio. He started WarX in 2017, I believe, with a few friends and family, and they were drawing on their own personal experiences in the military. Now, I was fortunate enough to be actually gifted a ticket to the Trilogy last year. And Jake, I have to say that was like the most amazing, unique OCR experience I've ever had. So I'm very excited to get back to it this year. So yeah, so Jake, I'm really glad that we're getting to connect on this. So can you share a little bit with the audience more about your background with the military and sort of how that evolved into and influenced your creation of WarX?
Yeah, so once I got out of the military, really wanted to just kind of do my own thing. And my other friends, brothers-in-laws and brothers, we decided, that we love to take these trips and challenge ourselves through kind of almost like survival type situations where we would surprise each other with either a canoe trip that wasn't like your standard, go to a library and pick out canoes. You just like all of a sudden show up on a piece of the river and then have to live for 2 days going down the river. Nice. So we had a blast. We would do those kind of things, camping trips, things like that. And then we got to thinking about it. We said, maybe we could actually have other people do this and we could stand back and even have more fun watching them do it. Right?
Torturous little bit of that. Like, so what can we do?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was soon step back from it, then all of a sudden more ideas start coming out. So we started off with like a survival type thing, and we would go into the whole emotional, psychological, physical aspect of what deprivation of every one of those things would do to people. And we had a couple events like that. It was like very, very high level. And I think we ended up scaring people away. So that was not the intent.
I don't remember which one of your staff was telling us a story at the Trilogy about one of your long overnight things and like caging people up. And yes. Yeah, it sounded intense.
They were very intense, and obviously there's not a huge market for that. So we started to kind of brainstorm a little bit. We said, you know what, we want to reach out to athletes, people who feel like they're in shape, who are, or at least want to be in shape, put it that way. And how do we get to those people? And we decided, well, you know what? I mean, obviously obstacle course racing is a huge, huge market right now. So we said we can still incorporate our fun stuff with the war zone, the mission sets, the explosions, the gunfire, and maybe add a new aspect to obstacle course racing that nobody's ever seen. So that's why we came up with WarX, which is War Experience Racing. So
nice. So in 2017, was that when you started the actual obstacle course racing, or was that still kind of the survival?
It was still the survival, and then about a year into it, we branched into the racing, and we still had a couple survival events mixed in, but we kind of really faded those off to more like a corporate life, like a thing or a group, where if a group or a bachelor or bachelorette party wanted to come out and say, hey, want to have some fun, we could tailor to that. We could tailor it to you or to anybody who say, hey, we want to come out here, but we don't want to get captured and put in cages. We go on a hike and find things in the woods, stuff like that.
Got it. So yeah, so it's sort of evolved a little bit. And when did the Trilogy aspect start? Was that right off the beginning as well?
So we saw that some races had multiple races a year. Obviously there's the big ones out there. But what we wanted to do was offer a way for, if they could do one of our races, two of our races, three of our races, and then there would be a big prize at the end. So we actually had them broke up over a couple months apiece. That ended up being very difficult for us. It seemed like as soon as you got over the excitement of building up the race, the nervousness, and then winding down the race, you had to plan for the next race again. It was like, oh my gosh. So what we did, everything into one weekend and made Trilogy, so that way it could be something that we could do hardcore one weekend, and that's what we wanted to do.
It was, I'll have to share my experience on a recording at some point, but I know, so 2019 was kind of like my big OCR season. That's when I got into it. I trained for it. Early 2020, I think I came across your website, like the X Trilogy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this sounds crazy, and shared it with my partner Tyler, and I was like, let's do this 2020. And he's like, gunfire, are you crazy? Like, who are these people? We can't do it. And then 2020 became what it was, so we didn't do anything that year. And it just so happened then early in 2021, one of my clients who is an obstacle course racer, he's like very happy. So he's like, Kate, I bought you a ticket to the Trilogy weekend. I'm like, oh, I was just really excited. Tyler was still really like, what are we getting into? So I'm sure that's kind of a question other people have, like, why the explosions? Why the gunfire? Like, what all do you incorporate out of the norm? And what is your goal with all of that?
Okay, so yeah, the biggest thing we wanted to do was be able to give people that have never been in the military, even those that are in the military. There's this funny thing, I'll make a correlation here, but for many of those that have not been like combat or been in military training, that's like unbelievable amount of realism. We wanted to just say, hey, if we could give them a taste of that, and some of that adrenaline rush that you get with, you're physically active, you're doing all these things, whether it's obstacles, whether you're running, your heart rate's up, but if there's like this adrenaline aspect of it that we could add to it, that was what we wanted to add, because a lot of us, a lot of the veterans that are here, we had been through these situations where we're like, man, this is like, you come off of it and it's the most unbelievable thing to happen. You don't even believe it just happened. You're just like, this is crazy. And there's no high like that. So if we were able to offer just a little bit of that, we were excited about it. And what's amazing is like veterans themselves, and it varies, but we miss it. We miss those highs like that. So it is exciting to get out there and have that boom in your chest, that sound, the gunfire, smoke. It's just like this whole atmosphere that we're trying to create, and we get better and better and better at it every time. And if we can give that to obstacle course racers, and they can take away from there and say, it was an awesome course, awesome obstacles, but also, oh my gosh, what an experience. That's what our ultimate goal is, to have people leave there and absolutely say, bring other people back and say, let's do this. Yeah. So, and that, and all that mixed in is, obviously we work with, disabled veterans with Operation Enduring Warrior. So our entire goal is to bring that awareness, like, here's an experience, here's a group of veterans working with a group of veterans, and we all just want to tie it together.
So do you target veterans to bring them back, or do you target more like just OCR athletes, or pretty equally kind of reaching out to both groups?
Well, we reach out to both. We primarily target obstacle course racers, because we work with Enduring Warriors, so they're bringing the veterans to us, and we also reach out to other guys that we've been have served with and stuff. So we primarily find that we got to reach out to the racers to make sure that they're the ones that are coming. I mean, that's the entire idea, is to get more people to see what's going on out there. And after you experienced it, it's one of those things where I'm sure you felt that way. You're like, not only am I coming back, but I got to get somebody else, because you want to share that experience with somebody.
Yeah. Well, and I'm still to this day now connected on social media with some of the people that I did the night ops mission with, that I met there, because it was just, for that 1 hour or so, totally bonding because of the adrenaline and just what was going on with that.
Absolutely.
But can you kind of backtrack a little to Operation Enduring Warrior? Can you tell us about that? Like who is that group?
Yeah.
What are they doing, and how'd you guys get connected?
They're an amazing, they're an amazing group. So there's so many out there. I know so many veteran support groups and nonprofits. Operation Enduring Warrior came to our attention through, I think by chance, a YouTube video we saw of these guys. They were out there running in full gear, backpacks, gas masks. And I'm like, they just did a 12-mile race in that. And while they were carrying a guy, a couple guys in wheelchairs, there was another guy that had a guy on his back that had absolutely no limbs. And they did the entire race.
Wow.
And that was just inspiring. I'm like, wow, who has an excuse after that? You see that, like nobody has an excuse. So I reached out to them and I said, we would love to partner with you guys, have you guys come in. We have a piece of property that you guys can train on. And they jumped at it. They were like, whoa, we always train on military installations and there's a lot of red tape involved. So now we've made WarX their home training site. So all the masked athletes that are out there, the guys that wear the gas masks that are there to do that, they train at WarX prior to being in that position. The reason, what's cool about them is they're not just another group, giving to veterans. They're about an experience. So what they'll do is these guys will all wear their masks. They're part of the OEW team. They wear their masks for two reasons: to remain anonymous, for one, so nobody gives them attention, even though everybody is looking at them like you're crazy.
You kind of couldn't help it.
It's possible. But they remain anonymous until from the start of the event to the end of the event, when then they demask somewhere where no one can see them. But they also do it to cause more struggle on themselves, to remind them of the guy standing next to them, the honoree that they usually bring, whether that guy has post-traumatic stress, whether he has back issues, missing limbs, whatever it may be. This guy has decided he's going to go through this course. It doesn't matter what his ailments are, what his problems are. And obstacle course racing is just one aspect of them. They'll take people skydiving, hunting, they'll climb Mount Rainier. They just recently had Matt Bradford blind top of Mount Rainier. So he wanted to go climb a mountain. That's what they did. They will do anything that the veteran wants to do. And they're also in law enforcement and firefighting now too. So we're just excited about them. And I mean, I'm sure you can tell that I just love these guys.
Awesome. And so they're located here in the Ohio area, or do they have, I'm sorry?
They're nationwide.
They're nationwide. Very cool. And I know I'll put in the show notes, I know they have an Instagram account. Do they have other?
Yes. At Enduring Warrior on Facebook. It's Enduring Warrior. I believe it's Operation Enduring Warrior on Instagram as well.
Yeah. The full thing. I was looking at their account a little.
Mask is their logo, the gas mask.
So they are essentially, it sounds like a kind of a support group for veterans and frontline people going out and doing things, all the athletics, all the things.
They're ready to go when the guy calls and says, hey, I want to go do this. We're there for you. We'll show up. They'll show up in 10s, 20 of them, and they'll do it. So they have a lot of different programs. So they should, it's really cool to check them out.
Yeah. So, and I know you said they train at your course. So first of all, do you have that up year round then, or just that you've got so much space?
The course is up year round.
I want to come play.
Yes, we actually thinking about offering that. So many people come from so far away. It's funny because, like, honestly, I didn't even realize that you were from the Columbus area.
I'm right here. Yeah.
Until later, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is Kate. And I remember, like, it's funny. I remember certain people. I always remember faces, horrible with names, but you guys were there, and I was it Tyler you were there with? Okay. I remember seeing you guys. I was like, oh yeah, I remember them. And then I was like, I don't know where they came from. Could have been Alabama, New York. We have so many people. There, guy was there from Ecuador this last time.
Wow.
So yeah, it's wild.
It was me and Tyler and our friend Tom. Tom was only able to do the obstacle course race. Tyler and I did the whole trilogy. But we told Tom he's got to join this next time, along with a couple other people. Yeah, we're bringing people. So you got that course up. It's all there. Does it change year to year? How's that planned out then?
So I plan the course. I walk, run, ride the course over and over and over again, and it gets how many miles? I have no idea, but most walking.
So you can complete your own course. Is that
somewhat? I'm not gonna lie. Some of those obstacles, no.
I know there was I believe it was called the Eliminator last year.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? And are we able to expect that again this year, or is there a new secret torture device?
Yeah. So the Eliminator is the brainchild of my brother, Justin. He was living in Savannah, and he said, hey, I'm moving up here to Ohio. He actually lives in Grove City now, just on the south side of Columbus there. But he is a paramedic, EMT, and he decided to build this massive Eliminator. And I said, make something that is doable, but very hard. That not only is physical, but also technical. And he designed the whole thing, and we put it up in a week. And so what the good thing is like we listen to people, and we heard a lot of different goods, bads about it, because we don't want it to be impossible. We do want it to be challenging, and it did seem less likely for anybody to complete it this last time. So we're going to make some changes, make it, more doable. There was a lot of upper body requirements on that one. I think there was like a 10% success rate on that, which it lived up to its name.
Hey, I mean, wasn't there like a special medal at the end that one event or that one obstacle on the course?
There was. So we will have that obstacle back. It will be changed a little bit, but then we've got some pretty neat ones coming this year too. So there'll be new obstacles and a new course.
Nice. So can you tell people a little bit about the course, like roughly how long is it, the terrain they could expect, what kind of obstacles they might see?
Sure.
In addition to the gunfire and the explosions and things going on. Oh, and I do recall seeing a flamethrower as well.
Yes, there was.
Amazing. What are some of the other things that makes this so unique?
Okay. So the Southern Ohio terrain obviously changes quick. We have a lot of hills down there, and we adjust the course based on trying to keep it different, but at the same time, a certain amount of elevation gain. So we definitely want to tax the legs. We do that fairly well, I think.
It killed me.
Yeah, it kills everyone. It is very tough terrain wise. We try to stick right around 6 miles to 7 miles. Our first setup 2 years ago in July, or 3 years ago now, was almost 8 miles, and it was in July, so it was really rough. So we decided to move it back, obviously, to October. But the course itself, 6 to 8 miles, generally speaking, on the main race. About 50 obstacles, so there'll be at least 51 to 52 this year. So we're just going to keep on adding.
Love it.
The terrain, and you were out there, but the terrain is some of it in the open area, open fields, and then some of it is in the woods. And we definitely like that mix there. We try to put you guys in the creek bottoms, things that are more natural as well, and we can add obstacles to them as we get to them. But the obstacles themselves, we know the land is such a big leg problem for everybody. So we really try to make the obstacles more challenging for upper body and technical. So more balance and stuff like that. There's no reason to add a leg obstacle to an already incredibly hard terrain level race. So that's part of the Trilogy race. That's the first one. We're changing it up this year.
Okay. I was looking at the website a little. So yes, what can you tell us about the Trilogy?
Okay, so you're very fortunate to be part of the last night ops thing that we were doing. And the way we did it,
that was amazing.
It was the way we were doing it. And I'm sure, like, if you looked at it, it would be, we looked at a couple things and realized, okay, if we had 300 people going through this night ops, we might be here till 3 a.m. So we decided we needed to make some changes. So what we've done is we wanted to create a better atmosphere for everybody after the event. Those people that decide to stay on maybe overnight, or, there's people in hotels, but if they're camping. So we decided, well, how do we do that atmosphere? And what we did was we added a 1.5 mile course or a 3K to like a mid-afternoon type of thing. So what you'll do is you'll race in the morning. Whenever you finish up, take your break, go back to your hotel, go to your campsite, rest up. Then you got a short 1.5 mile hardcore obstacle, really heavy, almost like Ninja Warrior type of thing that you'll run through.
So a little less of like the running and more of just like item to item to item.
Yes, that's what we wanted to do, because we know everybody's really taxed after that obstacle course race. So you do need some type of a break. But we're going to add potentially some shooting involved specifically just to that one for the participants. And then maybe even a choice on the course. Do I go left or right? So something to change it up a little bit. So that'll approximately start at like 5:30, so kind of early. And then by 8 o'clock, everything should be tied up and we'll have like a huge bonfire after party type of situation. Those people running the Trilogy may not want to get too crazy because they got a 5K in the morning. But yeah, that's the idea, is to have definitely more of a festival in the evening time on Saturday evening. So
I like that. That sounds fun. Yeah. So any sneak peeks you can give us beyond that? Any little juicy details about the Eliminator or other things coming in?
Let's see here. Well, now I for the Trilogy, there's a new obstacle. It's called the Decagon. Okay. Maybe a play on words.
Like something right out of like American Gladiators.
It's going to be very technical. I don't know how, it's not going to be crazy hard, but it's going to be one of those ones that's very easy to fall off of. So it's potentially a mobile obstacle that we may take to other races too. OCR World Championships potentially may have it there.
Ooh, okay.
So we're excited about that, building that one this year. We just all of a sudden had this idea and said, yeah, we got to do this. So it'll be very neat. It'll be a very fun, but also could be potentially very annoying obstacle.
Well, isn't that the best kind? It's just frustrating enough that it's extra rewarding when you're done.
Yes, absolutely. That's the intent behind it. It will take actually some thought versus just like strength. So
just brute force through it.
Definitely.
Okay. Now, is WarX a qualifier for the world or nationals at this point?
Yeah. So this year we became a qualifier.
Congrats.
OCR. Thank you. And we were going to have two. We do have our blackout race in May. It's just a 5K.
Right.
I think it's a day is like Rugged Maniac, but we're having it at night. There'll be all kinds of fireworks, explosions, glow sticks, lighting the whole path. That's going to be a fun time.
That sounds fun.
So that one was going to be, and then we decided we were just going to take it back and do just a trail run for that, because there are some dangers at night. Obviously, we have a lot of water on our course. We knew we would have to cut out those obstacles or heavily monitor them. And I think we just thought it would be safer to make it a trail run, even though we'll end with a slide going in. So at night. So that should be interesting.
Oh gosh. So a
Yeah,
blind
why
water
not?
slide.
Exactly. I think we're going to put the lights right in your face. So you come down and you're just,
That's perfect.
yeah.
So,
Um,
if this sounds intimidating to people,
mhm,
gunfire, lights, past
right.
stories of survival and caging people, who would you say can do the race or the trilogy? Is there a difference?
Yeah, no, I would say first off, that's like our initial intent was, I think, actually to scare people, and we did. Unfortunately, we thought, yeah,
Do you have
hey, we'll
some
throw.
stories about that? Let me interrupt real quick. Can you share any of those
Yeah.
stories from your survival?
Oh man, yeah. So our first, our first promo video that we put out was like terrifying, and we
You
shot it
black
at,
bagged a girl in it, if I remember.
yes,
Don't you?
that was my sister. So
We're like, is that just this has to be like planned.
well, that part was planned. The video itself was planned. What actually happened on the first event was it was the most amazing. The most amazing thing was the acceptance of the 12 people that were there of the new reality.
Mm-hmm.
We created a reality that there was a cyber attack and the whole country was falling apart, and that's why they were there at the property to help stop it, because there was a group in the woods that had used had the cyber kill codes and blah 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 blah. There's a huge mission and brief involved. They were told basically that they had no ability to fight back against the enemy force, who was hired outside of WarX to do a job. So we did not have control of them. And they were sent to capture them, interrogate them, and stop them from their mission. The team, it was a 45-minute brief. And by the end of the brief, I could see that people had started to accept the fact, because we showed a video of like what would actually happen, and it was like a newscast type of video we just pulled offline.
Yeah.
But we cut it and edited it, and everybody was starting to accept it. And then we interrupted the brief at the end, just when we said, hey, is there any questions? Boom, explosions went off. They had to run out and get on their way. And it was amazing, because it just so happened that 2 Black Hawk helicopters were flying over right at that moment. And I called into the group leader. I said, hey, be advised, there's enemy aircraft in the area. And they saw these helicopters, and the team was like, what? They have helicopters here?
So it's sold.
more acceptance. And then we actually planted a mole in their group from the time that they showed up. He drove in with them, registered with them. They thought he was they thought he was a participant.
Uh-huh.
And he was not at any time a participant, but he played the part so well. They didn't like him, but then they felt bad for him because he was just unprepared and stuff like that. So they took him under their wing as like, hey, we'll show you the way, but man, stop ticking us off because you're not doing a good job. And then we violently captured him in front of all of them. And from that point forward, the team had lost all sense of reality.
Just
and
on
it went
edge,
up.
adrenaline, extreme.
Full adrenaline. And from the captures to they rescued their capturees, we had a couple people quit out of just psychologically unable to finish the race.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. Just like, I can't do this anymore. I've seen, this is too dangerous. And, after the fact, we debriefed them, and they didn't believe us when we said, it's okay. I showed up in my shirt and I said, okay, you guys are done. And they're like, this is a trick. What are you doing with us? I was like, oh my gosh, seriously, you're done. It's okay. Let's talk about what happened. And they were like, where are you taking us? It was wild.
Like a safety word.
It was really fun, really cool, super intense. And that's exactly what we were hoping for. So that being said, I think you originally asked me how not to scare people. So
well, that's where you started. And now where have we come for people? I mean, if that wasn't intimidating, I think it sounds like one of those things like, I wish I could do that. but I probably would like that whole like fight or flight. I tend to freeze, so I probably would be useless in a situation like that
as well. And it's amazing because we actually had a lady go through, she was 65, and she rocked it out. She, just stayed in shape and stuff, but she had a hard personality or whatever. Mm-hmm. She was 65. She went through the whole event. What we do is we want the event to be challenging to the point where you don't know if you can make it, but then you can make it. We're never going to push you to a point that's going to cause you to actually fail. Mm-hmm. We don't want that to happen. We don't want anybody to fail. And we really, truly believe that through any of our events, that anybody can make it as long as they decide that they're going to make it. That's all it takes.
So any fitness level.
Yes.
Can get through.
Any fitness level. I would say absolutely. I think anybody in their right mind should always prepare when they know they're about to go through something. But if anybody decided, hey, you know what? I feel like I'm going to start or I'm going to do this at any point, they could do it. And if it takes them 7 hours versus the normal 3 hours, who cares? It doesn't matter. It's just about getting out, get moving, get, motivated. I mean, it's just do it. If you want to do it, do it.
Mm-hmm. Just get out there and go. Do you have any pointers for training, whether like physically training for this type of thing, as well as maybe mental training? Like what tips do you have on that? It sounds like there's, and from my, there's the mindset aspect of it too, and kind of that mental strength.
Yeah. So I think physically speaking, obviously there's a ton of ways that people need to train. I mean, we feel like every person out there, I mean, you can't tell one person you have to do this exact routine because it's the same with eating too. One person, it does not react the same as the other person. Mm-hmm. So training is telling someone how to train for something. We can give tips, and we've posted those, but mostly I think it's just about if someone's serious about doing something. We have this amazing tool called Google, and anything we want to do, you can literally look up how to train for an OCR event, how to train for a survival event, and there'll be 1,000 different topics out there on how to do it. So I think where everybody's kind of running out of excuses when it comes to how do I do something. But I would say just one tip would be just start moving, just make a decision to do it. And mm-hmm. I think that's the primary thing. Mentally, I would say be prepared for things that you can't be prepared for. Try to prepare for things you can't be prepared for. I mean, you experienced the night ops and we just threw weird stuff at you.
Yes.
To see what you would do. How would you react to something when is completely out of the norm? How much would you accept the fact that this isn't real versus is this real? It's fun to see people change and their attitudes adjust to what's going on. And some people step up, some people just kind of freeze, some people decide no. But most people step up. It's amazing. It's really cool.
Yeah. And it was a lot of fun because there was definitely the little voice going like, well, this is a game, like nothing's going to happen. And I was like, that's no fun. Be quiet. Let's get completely immersed in this. Like, I want to just be as immersed as I can. And it was an unbelievable experience. Yeah, absolutely unique. So do you train for OCRs, or what kind of fitness regimen do you have?
For me, I do a lot of walking. I do a lot of hills.
There's a lot of hills
right now I'm training for, hills are big. I mean, out there, Oryx especially, where just you're standing on hills all the time. Mm-hmm. So we do, right now I'm training mostly for like a trip out west to Colorado at the end of the year. So I throw a backpack on with some weight and mm-hmm. Start walking. I try to restrict my breathing as much as possible. That is something I think that is an unbelievable thing to do to oneself, is restricting your breathing, because everybody's used to taking that big deep breath when they need it. But when it's not there, it really requires a lot of, I feel like it's a mental thing, because you're still standing, you have the air, but you almost could get into a panic. It's amazing. I feel like it's a good mental exercise as much as it is for strengthening the lungs. So yeah, I do some training.
I mean, even late into 2020, when I first, or maybe it was early 2021, I started going back to the gym, and I would wear like just the mask that we were wearing kind of everywhere. And that's how we trained on the treadmill. And it was definitely like, yeah, there's that mental, like, I'm suffocating kind of talk.
You're not
getting, I can still take a big breath.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. I stay pretty active as far as just around my house a lot. I do a lot of firewood cutting. So my training is not in the gym. I have to stay active because of being a helicopter pilot. I'll tell you right now, it's not physically demanding.
But adrenaline filled.
It can be.
Yeah. So you do some of that. So what would you say? I want to kind of shift into the mindset stuff a little bit too. What would you say are some of the biggest failures you've faced, and what did you learn from that experience? Because I think mindset, I tell people that's kind of at the core of everything. Like, that's the start of everything. Your mind will talk you out of doing anything before you even have a chance to start. And so when there's a goal or anything to set, it's always that. And there's always often this fear of failure that people have, and let that hold them back. So what are some of the things you've learned from any of your experiences with that?
I'll tell you, for me, I've always had this sense, kind of a sense, on a serious note. Our family background is very, religious, Christian background, but I've always felt that the fear of anything, I always have been told and felt that fear is a liar all the time. That bottom line is that, like, fear is not even real. It's a possibility of something happening. So you fear it but it hasn't even happened yet. So having a fear of something is kind of weird. Understanding something is more, I like that term better. But fear is, I think, a natural thing for everyone. One of the biggest, I can speak on a specific time of fear, when I was in Afghanistan, and it was just the fear of the unknown. And I think that's a big one for everyone. Fear of not knowing what's going to happen. Again, it's so weird when you think about fear. It's something that hasn't happened, but you're still afraid. And we had our base attacked, and nobody knew what was going on. And you just hear a lot of gunfire and explosions and things going off that were very serious. It was all of a sudden like, they're here to get us. And it was this unknown thing. And so there was like this level that I had never experienced before. What was funny is I didn't experience it at the time. It was just acting at the time and doing whatever needed to be done. But then after the fact, felt this overwhelming amount of like, they're here to get me. I'm afraid, I'm scared. And all these things go through your mind. And I think that was probably the scariest thing I've ever been through, even though, there was minimal problems in the long run of it. But that was a very fearful time. And I feel like that kind of equates to like a failure, overall, because again, you feel like you're strong in something. And I think a lot of people can stay on a path where they feel strong about any particular thing, whether it's working out, running races, eating, whatever it may be. You get this strength, you feel like you're so strong in it, and then all of a sudden you hit this roadblock or something big, and you have this huge breakdown, or you don't. And I feel like if you don't have a breakdown, that's a huge breakthrough. You basically just hit this huge, hurdle and went right over it. But when you do have that breakdown, like, what do you do after the fact? Do you assess it? Do you just continue to break down? So in that specific scenario for myself, I felt like, broke down, and then finally leveled back off and got to where I needed to be. But I think it's, I think that can happen to everybody in some way, shape, or form. So, but for me, I don't know. I don't have a lot of failures. I feel like everything is meant for a reason. So if it's a failure, it's probably just one way not to do it.
I like the failure is feedback. That's all it is. It doesn't have to be this negative.
Sure. Absolutely.
So more just whenever life doesn't go quite, or a situation isn't quite what you're expecting, just assess, act, and then evaluate. That's kind of what
I think.
I'm like.
It's a logical way of thinking, and I think a lot of people, I think a lot of times logic is taken out of stuff, and we do react emotional. I think we're all emotional beings in some way, shape, or form. So if we can separate ourselves from that for a few minutes and take a step back and look at the actual situation, we can just make a reasonable decision and go on from there. Whether it's right or wrong, we'll find out.
Yeah, but at least you kind of are thinking through it.
Right.
Yeah.
Make it.
Who would you say are some of the biggest influences in your life, and how have they impacted you?
Oh, my dad, 100%. Work ethic, former military. So I got in for that. Obviously my mom, technically I'm a mama's boy, so I'm not going to lie.
Does dad know that?
Yeah, he knows. He makes, so that's no, both of them extremely hard work ethic. They're with us all the time at Warex. I mean, they're down there. You probably met her last year. My mom, at least. She's Kathy. She was serving people. They're probably my biggest influencers, and I'm my wife, obviously, just amazing supporter in everything I do.
Yeah. Is it, that made me curious, the people who were on the course doing the different things, like driving the Humvees, was that what I didn't even remember what the vehicle was. I just saw it and it was shooting things. So is that more like you, family, and friends, or is that some of the Operation Enduring Warrior people, or a little of both?
It's sometimes a little of both, but it's mostly our family and friends.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm sure you can imagine, and if anybody's like watching, where you guys are crazy, how do you get enough people or volunteers that can shoot? We don't have volunteers, generally speaking. Someone's going to watch for a safety. We can have somebody be a safety at an obstacle, but generally have only about 5 or 6 shooters on the property that are, actually have live ammunition, actually have explosives. And those are well-trusted, trained individuals. So is my team chaotic? That's not chaotic. It's a controlled chaos for us, for sure.
Ah, controlled chaos. I like that. That's good. That explains. Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely, a lot of fun. And I will say that I enjoyed all of it. I thought it was, great adrenaline, but I never felt unsafe, and I never felt pressured to do anything I was uncomfortable with, which I appreciate. That was great.
That is exactly what we want. We want the excitement, the adrenaline. We don't want a fear of, something happening, or this doesn't seem right or unsafe. That's awesome. That's great to hear.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I wrapped it up. It was just excited fun without stress of like, oh my gosh, what did I get into? I mean, there was that, but in a safe way.
Right. Aisle 5 or 6, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I think I just have one big question left for you, Jake. Essentially, if you had any recommendations, like what are 3 books, podcasts, or resources that you would recommend to the audience, and why?
Ooh,
it's pretty open-ended, I know.
Well, oh my gosh. Well, it's kind of an oldie but a goodie, a book, Failing Forward. I don't know if that is an easy read, very fast read, and very inspiring. it definitely makes you take a introspective look at yourself and say, oh my gosh, I got no excuses. So one of those, very good book. As far as a podcast, not a huge podcast guy.
Books or podcast or any resource.
I'll tell you what, their OEW, Operation Enduring Warrior, has several resources that I've read on their site, stories, Medal of Honor winners, disabled veterans, stuff like that. I love inspiring stories of anything that's heroic. Doesn't have to be military. I mean, there's so many things out there that people have done, but they have like a link on their site. It's just amazing to go out there, enduringwarrior.org. They have a ton of great stories on there, and just guys that are like right now, not stuff that's, in World War I. No, they have those, but they have like guys like, hey, Joe Smith, double amputee, in a wheelchair, just completed, marathon, and, the whole team ran with them. Stuff, really cool stories. I find those experience very neat.
That is cool. And if people wanted to get connected with them or involved, do they do like donations, or are they taking like other veterans in still? And how would they get connected?
Yeah. Always taking veterans in. They're always looking for help. And their entire team is volunteer. I forgot to mention that. They are 100% volunteer. So there is nobody paid. Like a lot of nonprofits have a paid personnel, CEOs, things like that, CFOs. They're all 100% volunteer. So every dime that they get goes directly to support the mission that they do of honoring, empowering, and motivating nation's wounded veterans. Their entire team, when they show up, they self-pay for everything. We make sure at WarX that they don't pay for nothing. But they don't pay for anything, or they pay for everything otherwise when they go somewhere. If they have a group of guys that go out to like Mount Rainier, or, they want to go climb Mount Everest or whatever, they all have to pay themselves to go out there and help that veteran, which the veterans never pay a dime. They come, if they're there as the honoree, they're supported 100%. So they do receive donations on their site. And then we also have links on our website as well. This is warx.com, where you can see, they're always at our events too. Trilogy, they'll be there again, and probably a ton of them. So we invite everybody too, is if you're not a speed demon, or you're not trying to finish the race in like record time, run with OEW. They love it. They love that support. The people here on. Absolutely. I mean, they can look intimidating because they got this whole group of like military looking guys with all their masks on, but they love it. We've had several racers that always stick with them and just have a blast. They love when everybody steps in and does the team thing, help them up over a wall, things like that. So we would definitely encourage that.
That's very cool. Do they do the whole trilogy or just the obstacle course?
They do the whole trilogy.
It is. Okay. I thought I saw them running some of that. Okay. Very nice. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap up. If you could just kind of lay out like what's coming up, what are the dates, and remind everyone how they can connect with you or learn more, and just kind of last little notes.
Okay. Well, first, this is warx.com. We're at This is Warx on Facebook, at This is Warx on Instagram. Our next race is the May 7th Blackout. It's just a 5K trail run with the slide into the darkness and the finish.
No obstacles, just a trail run.
No obstacles, just a trail run. There'll be a big bonfire afterwards, music, probably sitting around playing guitar. A lot of us like to play guitar and sing. So we'll have some of that. We'll have some free beer for the racers and food. Food will be free too at this one. That starts May 7th, 8:30. I think we're going out. It's like I said, short run, so it should be over by 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then we're hanging out. And obviously you can sign up off links from Facebook or on our website. Then Trilogy is a big one. That one's October 8th and 9th. that's going to be a blast and a lot of work. So start training.
I am finally getting back to running, kind of trying to fix a knee issue, but
Right.
it's coming along slowly but surely.
Right on.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So October 8th and 9th, Ohio. And yeah, I know we did an Airbnb last time. Other people did hotels, and I know you also provide campsites for people, and we met some people who are doing that. So a lot of options for people.
Lots of options.
So yeah, I appreciate all the talk and really excited, and hopefully people will check it out, and we'll get to definitely check out Operation Enduring Warrior too. So sounds like good stuff.
Well, thanks for having me on, Kate.
Yeah, have a good evening. I'll talk to you later.
All right, have a good one. Bye.
Thanks for listening in, team. I hope you had fun with that, learned something new. I hope you are excited about this race or other ones. If you have a favorite race, I'd love to hear what your favorites are. And maybe I can get some other race creators on the show and learn more about their history and origins as well. So again, if you want to join in, check out the show notes. Again, we've got that discount code, the discount link. Absolutely wonderful event. I am still friends on Facebook with some of the people that I met there just because of what we all went through together. So I cannot thank Tom and Brian enough for pushing me to get out there. So shout out to my friends Tom and Brian, who gifted me with the ticket and joined me and kind of got my butt moving for this event. Truly unique and amazing event. And if you feel a little intimidated by the idea of a 6 or 7 mile race, reach out. I can point you in the direction of some great training programs, some things to help you get started. We can work through some nutrition protocols. If you just don't feel like you're in the shape that you would want to be, first of all, don't let that stop you. But second of all, know that you've got time to start making changes, and I would love to help. So hit me up, DublinDietitian.com. Check out the thisiswarx.com for information on that. Check out the link for the sign up, and I cannot wait to see you guys there. I hope. Let me know. So take care, and remember, as always, if your gut is not functioning optimally, you are not functioning optimally. I'll see you next week.